Welcome to the Nintendo Power Zone, guys. It's your boy Nice193, and as you can tell, I'm not in my normal studio. I am in a remote location. Not gonna give that details out right now. Hope you guys like the way we got things set up right now. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna just do a quick little video because we have to go over some quick news that might affect the video game industry minimally or maybe in a large dramatic way. We don't quite know yet, but it definitely affects some of Nintendo's dealings. So first things first, as of this morning, Bloomberg reported that Toys R Us has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So what does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean that they're going to go ahead and shutter every store. So for everybody who thinks this means Toys R Us is completely out of business, I'm going to tell you right now, that is not how Chapter 11 bankruptcy works. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read this excerpt just so people know a little bit about how Chapter 11 works. So, Chapter 11 is a chapter of Title 11 of the United States Bankruptcy Code, which permits reorganization under the bankruptcy laws of the United States. So what does that mean? It means that Toys R Us, as a company, is going to have to reorganize how they do business. What does that mean? Maybe they'll close a few stores. That's definitely a possibility. But it basically means in order to fix the amount of debt that Toys R Us currently has, things need to change. And anybody who's been to a Toys R Us recently probably has to admit that things need to change. Especially recently, Toys R Us has gone and revamped a crap ton of stores around the country and built new ones. This is really not a good way to reorganize your business. Yeah, better looking stores, that's a definite must. But what should be going on is price structuring. How do we fix prices? Now, a lot of this isn't necessarily Toys R Us's fault, by the way. Mattel and Hasbro, which are the #1 and the #2 largest toy companies in the world, respectively, they're both reporting losses. Kids aren't buying toys as often as they used to. They are gravitating more towards the digital. How often do you see people, little kids playing with cell phones or digital toys? These things are supplanting the classic toys that people like myself grew up with. So it's not necessarily Toys R Us's fault, but what they might need to do is make a shift towards more digital toys, sell more electronics. But that's neither here nor there. That's for the lawyers to figure out how they're going to reorganize Toys R Us. Hopefully they figure out a way to keep this toy chain in business, because man, who is watching this video that doesn't consider themselves a Toys R Us kid? Man, I still know that song by heart. I'm not going to sing it for you guys, but I promise you, I know that song by heart. Anyway, as far as how this affects the video game industry, more specifically Nintendo, Toys R Us, at least back in the day, they were the tastemakers of the video game industry. If you wanted to be top dog as far as a video game maker and seller, you had to get your products in Toys R Us. Now, as the competition from other stores like independent chains like GameStop and you have Walmart and Target, as they grew their video game selection, it took some of the steam away from Toys R Us. But Toys R Us is still a pretty big presence as far as video games are concerned, especially with Nintendo. Toys R Us is one of the biggest sellers of Amiibo for Nintendo, to the point where they have the most exclusive Amiibo. So if Toys R Us were to completely go out of business, Nintendo would lose a huge revenue stream of Amiibo. Not good for Nintendo, because they really depend on the shelf space that Toys R Us has, being, literally just a toy store. If they don't have that shelf space, things like Amiibo have to rely on the small Target spaces, the small Walmart spaces, and the small Best Buy spaces. That's not good. That's not a good look for Nintendo, which views Amiibo as a platform. Remember, Amiibo to Nintendo is a platform. So to have one retailer dedicate that much shelf space to one specific product is a huge deal for Nintendo. So it is in Nintendo's best interest that Toys R Us stay afloat as far as Amiibo is concerned. Now, this affects other Nintendo dealings as well. Jakks Pacific, which has the master toy license for Nintendo products. Basically, if a Nintendo toy is made in America that isn't an Amiibo, it is a Jakks toy. And if you're a fan of this channel, you know for a fact that I unbox a crap ton of Jakks Pacific toys per year. Jakks Pacific has a virtually exclusive deal with Toys R Us. The majority of the World of Nintendo products that Jakks Pacific produces is sold exclusively at Toys R Us. Now there are a few little things here and there that they shoot out to other retailers like Target, GameStop, but you won't find their stuff really at Walmart or Best Buy or any of the other brick and mortar stores that sell video games. They really deal exclusively with Toys R Us as far as their World of Nintendo line. This is huge because the World of Nintendo line sells the larger scale figures and some of the play sets exclusively to Toys R Us. Losing Toys R Us as a retailer also hurts Jakks Pacific. This is not a good look. So Toys R Us really needs to take this reorganization process very seriously. And yes, it would hurt to shut down some stores, but in the long run, I think it's better for them to shut down a few stores that just don't fit the bill. I can think of 5 stores in my region alone that just do not have any of the demand that some of the other stores have. So I live in Tampa, so I can think of 5 Toys R Us stores off the top of my head. There's one in Clearwater, one in St. Pete, one in Citrus Park, one in Wesley Chapel, and one in Brandon. 2 of those stores don't need to exist. What Toys R Us should do within this reorganization process is find out which of these stores are doing poorly and shut those down. Yes, it sucks. I'm not advocating for people to lose their jobs. Never that. But at the same time, Toys R Us needs to do what's best for them as an organization. And what that means is shut down these low volume stores. The St. Pete store, the one I'm thinking about most specifically, does not need to exist. It is a very old store. It literally looks like the stores they had in the 1980s, and it is now 2017. This store looks 30 years old. Shut it down and move on. And with all the stores that you have revamped and all the newer stores that you've opened, you need to make changes within those stores. What kind of products are being sold? Focus more on the electronics or the video game related. This is how Toys R Us could really make themselves the tastemakers of the video game industry yet again, while also drawing in huge crowds of people. Because as of right now, you know you're waiting at GameStop for a midnight launch, but if Toys R Us had an available midnight launch, would you prefer to go there? Look, personally, I have had my issues with GameStop. If I could go get a video game at a midnight time anywhere other than GameStop, I would 100% go there. And if Toys R Us was to make themselves the retailer that provided me with that midnight launch option, I would be at Toys R Us way more often than I'm already at Toys R Us. And my fiance is sitting right back there behind the camera. She knows that I spend way too much time at Toys R Us already. But think about how much more time I spend if I could go to a midnight launch at Toys R Us. Specifically, look at the products that we have coming out right now. The SNES Classic is coming out in a week. And Toys R Us put out a statement saying, no midnight launch, we're going to open at standard times. This is not smart. This is not smart. You know this is the most anticipated toy of the 2017 holiday season. You know you're going to have product. And you're going to go through normal business hours. This is part of the reason why you're going bankrupt. Because people aren't looking to you as the retailer that they can shop at when they need that product at midnight. This is something that needs to change. Toys R Us, I want to be a Toys R Us kid until the day I'm gone. So please take this reorganization seriously, because if you don't, you're going to be out of business, and the words Toys R Us kids, they fade from American lexicon. To be fair though, I do have to point this out. The bankruptcy really only affects the U.S. locations. The locations in Europe and Asia, they don't seem to be affected by this Chapter 11 filing. Maybe they have to go through different proceedings in those specific regions. I'm not too familiar with how Chapter 11 or bankruptcy works in any other country besides our own. And to be honest, before I even shot this video, I had to make sure that I was 100% brushed up on what Chapter 11 meant, because first thing that came to my mind was, oh shit, Toys R Us is bankrupt? No. See, but this is why I sit down and I do my research before I get on camera, so that I know what I'm talking about, so I don't look like a jackass and have to make another video saying, hey, I'm a jackass. But anyway, guys, hit me up. Let me know how you feel about Toys R Us going bankrupt. Like, personally, for me, this sucks, and I hate to see this happening, but hopefully this is a wake-up call. Fix your stores. Fix the things that, you know, they're not doing right. If they do that, they can make themselves a far better retailer. But let me know what you think, and I'm going to go ahead and get out of your hair, but before I do, social media links. You can hit me up on Twitter at nice1983. You can email me at nice193@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/NintendoPowerZone. If you're a fan of the Nintendo Power Zone podcast, you can always download new episodes on iTunes, Google Play Music, stream new episodes on Stitcher Radio. But if you want to catch the show live, you can catch us right here on YouTube, youtube.com/NintendoPowerZone. That's right, guys, brand new URL just for you. And one more thing, I am back in Tampa. I know I was on hiatus for a while, hurricane and some other stuff happened, but I'm back home and I'm back to working on videos again. I'm happy to be back. A week away from the channel felt like, you know, not having drugs and being a severe drug addict. Anyway, guys, hit me up. I'm out of here. Deuces.